US President Donald Trump says his special envoy Steve Witkoff will visit Russia ahead of a deadline that Trump has set for Moscow to take steps to end its war in Ukraine. Kyiv has long accused Moscow of being disinterested in any peace process. And over the last few months, Russia has slowly but surely been taking more Ukrainian territory.
Russian rockets and drones rained down on Kyiv. This was just one of a number of attacks on the Ukrainian capital in recent weeks, as Moscow steps up its aerial assaults across the country. Researchers say Russian drone strikes hit an all-time record in July. Ukraine has fairly established air defense systems, but it's Russia's use of ballistic missiles that is causing major problems. Kyiv only has the American Patriot defense system to intercept those, and Patriot missiles are in short supply. On the front lines, far away from the capital, Russia has also been using its aerial arsenal to win territory on the ground. Russia's summer offensive has seen an increase in attacks on a number of fronts. Its forces have made advances in the northern Sumy region. They've begun pushing up towards Zaporizhzhia from the south, and they've taken a heavy toll on the eastern front, where Moscow's military has now captured more than 2/3 of the Donetsk region. The eastern front is the most active in the war. Russia has expended massive resources there in recent months, probing for weak points in Ukraine's defensive lines. Ukraine's top commander says more than 110,000 Russian soldiers amassed there ahead of the summer offensive. Ukraine initially managed to slow their advance by deploying experienced troops and using minefields, while hounding Russian forces with drones. But now Russia's advance appears to be quickening. Ukrainian soldiers say the Russians have been relying on a grueling strategy in their push. First, Russia uses heavy artillery and drones to hammer Ukraine's positions along the front line. Then, when Ukrainian troops take cover, Russia deploys glide bombs that have the ability to destroy bunkers that are not deep enough underground. Then, as the bombs fall, the Russian infantry pushes forward to take new positions. The attacks have been unrelenting and effective, but so far the gains are also only incremental. Estimates suggest Russia only managed to hack away about 0.1% of Ukraine's territory in June. And Ukraine says the advances have come at a huge human cost for Russia, with high troop casualties. But with Ukraine's military struggling to refill its ranks and facing a vastly larger Russian army, fears are high that Kyiv could lose a lot more territory in the coming months.
And for more on this, let's bring in Mykola Bielieskov. He is a military analyst at Ukraine's National Institute for Strategic Studies, which is part of the office of the Ukrainian president. Now, what is Russia's current strategy on the battlefield, in your view?
Basically, you described most of the elements of the Russian combined armed tactics, but you missed one element, very critical one, while you showed this video. It's an attempt to interdict the link between frontline positions and the rear area, to complicate with UAVs, with glide bombs, with artillery, reinforcements, logistics, medical support, basically to isolate forward position plus infiltrate this forward position, bypassing Ukrainian strong points, to force tactical realignment, tactical retrenchment, so-called, and maybe even to exploit it. But thus far, everything else you described is quite precise in terms of combined armed tactics employed by Russia right now.
Now, why does Russia appear to be concentrating its offensive on the Donbas region right now?
First of all, they, if we recall, declared the Donetsk region to be part of Russia, and without taking control of the Donetsk region, they are not able to say that they attained even at least some of their goals, declared ones. But otherwise, they have some local successes, creating a bulge between Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka, and they try to exploit this bulge to maybe encircle eventually Pokrovsk and force us to withdraw. So there are a combination of political and military consideration. They force them to concentrate on the Donetsk region.
Now, let's talk about this bulge. How important are Russia's recent territorial gains militarily and for Ukraine's overall war effort?
To a great extent, situation resembles 2024, when there are some local Russian successes, local advances, which they are not able to translate into the classic breakthrough. Unfortunately, the pace of their advances accelerated. If we compare May, July 2024 and May, July 2025. But in general, Russian armed forces are still unable to turn local advances into breakthroughs. So we can expect the continuation of this grinding local advances in Donetsk regions and in other regions they would try to prioritize.
Now, do you see any way that Ukraine could regain the initiative in this war?
Right now, our goals are more limited. Right now, we need to stabilize the front line. Without frontline stabilization, without checking Russian incremental advances, it's not possible to create conditions for negotiations. So right now, it's about stabilization of the front line, and only then we can think about some full regaining of the initiative through offensive. But our goals now are more limited.
Now, Donald Trump says his envoy Steve Witkoff will go to Moscow this week. What do you expect from that visit?
Unlike other visits, his hand is now more strengthened through the new scheme to supply US weaponry through European intermediaries and financing, plus the threat of sanctions. But my fear is that still they do not have much persuasive power to force Putin to stop fighting and negotiate earnestly. So we still need to strengthen Ukraine negotiation hands through both aid and sanctions on Russia to come to the moment when Russia would negotiate earnestly instead of dictate.
Thank you very much. Mykola Bielieskov, a military analyst at Ukraine's National Institute for Strategic Studies. Thank you.